Cowboys fans, if you have been following the flow of this season, you probably felt that sudden shift in energy that hit Dallas like a gust of wind nobody saw coming. One moment everything felt routine, the next it was as if the entire rhythm of the team got tossed into a blender. Conversations changed, the mood changed. Even the confidence on the field felt different. And the spark behind that entire wave is the long-awaited return of Malik Hooker, who has finally stepped back into practice after spending what felt like an eternity on the sideline since that toe injury back in Week 4. His practice window has officially opened, which means he is right back in the rotation. And now it all hinges on how well that foot responds over the next couple of days. Inside the building, people are talking like a return on Monday night would not surprise a single soul, and honestly, the timing could not be more critical. This defense has been searching for something, anything, to steady the ship. Communication has been uneven, the back end has looked stretched thin, and without Hooker and Logan Wilson patrolling the deep middle, every drive felt like a survival drill, with both trending toward being active again. The unit finally starts to resemble something close to what it was meant to be. Their presence alone brings a sense of calm, like someone finally put the missing screws back into the foundation. But the real twist that caught everyone off guard is the growing possibility that Hooker could end up wearing the green dot if Kenneth Murray is unavailable. It is not a rumor that came out of nowhere. It is one of those ideas that quietly circulates when coaches trust a player who sees the field like a coordinator. Hooker's understanding of spacing, adjustments, and offensive tendencies makes him a natural candidate, even if nothing is locked in yet. And while the safety room is getting back pieces it desperately needs, it still remains one of the most complicated parts of the season. Hooker and Wilson returning is huge, but the continued absence of Elijah Clark keeps stretching the rotation thinner than anyone planned for. Depth has been tested far beyond expectations, and the staff simply has not reached the point where they are comfortable handing a full-size workload to Maris Bell. Opponents have clearly seen the weak spot in coverage, and they have attacked it over and over again. Hooker's return does not instantly repair all the issues, but it is unquestionably the first real step toward patching the holes. But even with the defense trying to get healthy, the offense has been dealing with noise of its own, and most of it has centered around George Pickens. When he arrived, expectations were already high, but the way he has lifted this passing attack has blown away anything he showed in his previous stop. He is stretching the field vertically, winning contested plays like it is nothing, stacking defensive backs with ease, and forcing defenses to redraw their shells every time he lines up. And somehow, despite everything he has brought to this offense, the outside world keeps pushing the narrative that his emergence affects CeeDee Lamb negatively. As if a modern offense cannot function with two-star receivers operating at the same time. It is a manufactured debate that ignores what is actually happening on the field. The recent slowdown on offense had nothing to do with Pickens or Lamb. It came from the protection issues, the injuries on the line, and stretches of predictable play calling that stalled drives before they even took shape. Lamb may not be putting up the same monster totals he did last season, but that does nothing to erase years of elite production. He remains one of the most complete and dynamic receivers in the league, and having Pickens dominating defenses should only open things up further for him. That was the plan from the beginning, and it is finally unfolding. Dallas spent years searching for a true complement who could lighten the load on Lamb, someone who could force defenses to stay honest and prevent bracket coverage on every snap. Now they finally have that player, and somehow the conversation outside refuses to appreciate it. Looking to the offseason, the expectation is clear. Dallas will be prepared to use the franchise tag on Pickens if a long-term deal does not get finalized in time. The projected number sits in the high 20s, possibly touching something around $29 million. But the team has the flexibility to manage it without sacrificing upgrades elsewhere. The defensive issues that have surfaced this season have never been about contract limitations. They have been about injuries, breakdowns in communication, and a lack of consistency. And while the spotlight has been on the receivers, another name quietly creeping back into the conversation is Jaden Blue. After that costly fumble in his most recent outing, he found himself glued to the bench as the staff turned toward safer options. But fans are openly wondering whether he will get another chance. This week, Blue brings a skill set nobody else in this backfield has. His burst stands out instantly. His acceleration jumps off the screen. His agility in open space brings something unique. Back in college, he proved he could be a legitimate pass-catching threat. But he has not been put in those situations often here. Most of his touches have come in predictable moments when defenses knew exactly what was coming, leaving him little chance to showcase his strengths. With the running back group struggling to consistently contribute in the passing game, he feels like the type of player who could reignite that entire part of the offense. The question is whether the staff trusts him again after the turnover. Trust takes time to rebuild, and that is the hurdle he is facing now. Meanwhile, an unexpected headline popped up that caught everyone off guard. Discussions about Mike McCarthy being mentioned as a candidate for the New York Giants head coaching job next season. This time of year always brings early whispers, most of which disappear once real interviews start. The idea of McCarthy jumping to a divisional rival does not seem to rattle anyone inside the building, and it feels like one of those early names tossed into the conversation. Simply because the coaching carousel demands content, every offseason begins with a handful of broad candidates, only for the list to completely shift once the actual process begins. This situation feels like another instance of that familiar pattern. But the storyline that hit hardest this week had nothing to do with football. The organization came together to launch a memorial fund for the family of Marshawn Nealon, whose passing left everyone in the building stunned. When players learned that his partner is expecting a child, they responded immediately, stepping in with support that came less from obligation and more from genuine care. It was one of those reminders that beneath all the film study, the pressure, the weekly grind, and the outside noise, these are human beings dealing with realities far heavier than anything that happens under stadium lights. And as everything continues swirling around this team, the season feels like a tug of war between potential and turbulence. The Cowboys are walking that thin line where every week reshapes the story of who they are becoming. And no part of the roster reflects that struggle more clearly than the defense, with Malik Hooker and Logan Wilson inching closer to full speed. The coaching staff finally has an opportunity to roll out something that resembles a complete defensive unit again. But availability alone does not guarantee stability. This group is still trying to rediscover its voice after weeks filled with patchwork lineups, sudden substitutions, and communication that has slipped at the worst possible times. You can sense how badly the defense needs cohesion, something solid they can lean on, something that reminds them of who they are supposed to be. Injuries have taken away rhythm, and when a unit spends week after week scrambling to cover missing pieces, the cracks inevitably show. That is why Hooker's potential return matters so much. Not just because of his athleticism, but because of how smoothly he can align everyone else on the field, even before the snap. His presence has the power to cut down the hesitation that has plagued this defense in recent games, and the conversation about the green dot only adds another layer to the importance of his return. Inside the building, people see how naturally Hooker processes motion, spacing, and route combinations. It is the kind of instinct that makes coaches consider putting more responsibility on his shoulders, especially if Kenneth Murray is out longer than expected. Nothing is official, and the staff will not reveal anything unless they absolutely have to. But the quiet buzz around that possibility reflects a desire for stability. They have been searching for someone who can calm the chaos, and Hooker's football intelligence puts him in that category. Even so, getting healthy bodies back is only the first step. This defense still needs trust. They need synchronized communication. They need confidence in one another after weeks where plays unraveled before they even started. While all of that unfolds on the defensive side, the offense is continuing its search for the rhythm everyone expected it to have months ago. Fans have been waiting for that fast, smooth, creatively layered version of the Cowboys offense. The one that uses motion to create mismatches and forces defenses to constantly adjust. Instead, this season has been marked by long stretches where the timing fell off. The run game stalled before it even formed, and the protection broke down at the worst possible moments. It has become a cycle where brilliant flashes get washed away by missed assignments or calls that feel too predictable to keep defenses honest, and because of that inconsistency, the outside world keeps trying to twist the narrative into some kind of rivalry between George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb, even though nothing inside the locker room supports that. The coaches want both heavily involved. The quarterback plays his best when both are legitimate threats. Defenses struggle the moment they realize they cannot bracket one without leaving the other single covered. Pickens brings that explosive vertical pressure that forces defensive backs to bail out earlier than they want to. Lamb brings the versatility to win from anywhere on the field, inside or outside, short or deep, together. They are the blueprint for how this offense was supposed to evolve. The issues holding back the attack have nothing to do with either receiver. The problems have come from breakdowns around them, not from them, and that is exactly why the staff keeps pushing to rediscover that rhythm. Because when this passing game is sharp and balanced, very few defenses can keep up with what Dallas can roll out. Quietly, behind all of that, sits the possibility of Jaden Blue stepping back into a meaningful role. His skill set gives the offense something they do not already have, especially in the passing game, where the running back group has struggled to contribute consistently. His acceleration, his quickness, his ability to create separation in short areas all stand out immediately. But ball security is non-negotiable. The staff has made it very clear. Losing the ball means losing snaps, and even though his potential is obvious, building that trust back takes time. If he gets another chance, it will be because the coaches believe he can protect the ball first and use his playmaking second. Meanwhile, the talk about Mike McCarthy being mentioned as a candidate for the Giants' job continues to float around the league, but inside the building it barely gets more than a shrug. Players have heard these kinds of whispers every season, and over time they learn not to put any stock into early speculation. Coaching cycles are unpredictable. Early lists get thrown around mostly for conversation, then disappear the moment real interviews begin. The priority within the team has nothing to do with hypothetical futures. Everyone is locked into what is happening now, not what might happen months from now. And through all the noise, the most powerful moment of the week remains the team rallying behind the memorial fund for Marsh and Nellen's family. It pulled everyone together in a way that on-field adversity never does. It grounded the locker room, reminding players and coaches that life is much bigger than football, and that brotherhood extends well beyond the field. Moments like that reshape perspective, and you could feel how it brought everyone a little closer. As the season continues, Dallas finds itself in this push and pull between what they are capable of and what they have actually shown. The defense is trying to rebuild its identity with healthier pieces stepping back in. The offense is trying to smooth out the rough edges and find that version of itself that can sustain long, efficient drives, and the receivers, rather than competing, are becoming the centerpiece of how this team wants to attack. Everything they want to become is still within reach, but it depends on whether they can finally sync all the moving parts at the same time. Before we roll on, subscribe to Cowboys Wire News. Drop a like and turn on the bell. Your support keeps the Dallas Cowboys updates coming. Tell us what you think in the comments. Whispers are swirling across the NFL landscape, and they're getting louder by the hour. Could the unthinkable be true? Reports suggest that legendary defensive lineman Aaron Donald has traded his horns for a star, joining the Dallas Cowboys in a shocking late career twist that's already sending tremors through the NFC East. Sources close to this situation claim the deal came together quietly, behind closed doors, with both sides eager to keep the negotiations under wraps until the ink dried. But once it did, Donald reportedly told those around him he was ready to hunt every quarterback in the NFC East. And if there's one thing the football world knows about Aaron Donald, it's that he doesn't make empty promises. Cowboys insiders are said to be electrified by the move. The locker room, long hungry for another dominant defensive presence, now boasts perhaps the fiercest interior pass rusher the league has ever seen. One staffer allegedly described Donald's arrival as like bringing a tank to a knife fight. The Cowboys' defense, already one of the most feared in the conference, could now evolve into something truly monstrous. Pairing Donald with Micah Parsons might just create nightmares for opposing offensive lines. Fans in Dallas are already dreaming of sacks, chaos, and shattered pockets. Meanwhile, over in Philadelphia, New York, and Washington, offensive coordinators are reportedly redrawing playbooks, searching for ways to neutralize the new Cowboy wall. But how do you block a force of nature? You can't, you just hope to survive. While no official statement has been released yet, social media is ablaze with speculation. Some call it a final championship push for Donald. Others see it as his way of proving he can dominate anywhere, under any logo. Either way, one thing's certain: if this rumor holds true, quarterbacks in the NFC East might be sleeping with one eye open. That's a wrap from Cowboys Wire News. For breaking Cowboys updates, subscribe, drop a like, and turn on the bell. Tell us your take in the comments.